Dear friends, today we have with us a very special guest. We have with us the Vice-Chancellor and President of Deakin University, Professor Iain Martin. Professor Martin, thank you so much for joining us.
It's a great pleasure to be with you.
Yeah. Professor Martin, you've been in India and there's been a historic initiative. Deakin is going to become the first overseas university to open a branch campus in India. And I believe that this is also going to be a first for Deakin, with India being the first country where Deakin is going to open a overseas campus as well. So can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, so it's two historic firsts, but I think the most significant thing is that this will be India's first ever overseas university having a branch campus in India. It's going to be based in Gift City in Ahmedabad, and this has been made possible by the changing of the rules in October of last year that allowed, for the first time ever, overseas universities to apply to operate a campus in Gift City in the special economic zone there. So this is historic for India. It's part of the Modi government's educational plans to open up higher education in India. And we are extraordinarily excited that we're able to be part of the India journey, but also very excited for our university being the first.
And Professor Martin, can you tell us a bit about the campus, how big it will be when you initially open it, and what are the courses that are going to be offered initially?
Yeah, so this campus is based in the Special Economic Zone of Gift City, which is an area being developed for technology and other based companies. And we're going to focus on courses that are relating to the digital economy. So the first two courses we're planning to start will be postgraduate courses in professional cybersecurity and business analytics, linked heavily to the needs of the companies based on that site. The campus itself, to start with, will be a 25,000 square meter building, closely linked to other facilities on the Gift City campus. So things like restaurants and childcare, gyms, car parking. So all of that will be there. The plan is to grow from that start, but we want to start with a focused offering that we can deliver with high quality and then grow from there. Because this is new, not just for Deakin, but for India, it's important that we learn together on how we make this work best for the students and our partner companies.
What would be the process of applying in this university, and the approximate costs and things like that?
Yeah, so they're very good questions, but this is really very new indeed. So we received approval from the regulator to do this just over a week ago. It was announced in Ahmedabad by our Prime Minister on Wednesday night. So we're still working through a lot of the details, but essentially later this year we'll be opening up for applications. The application process will be the same as it is in Australia for these programs that are identical to the Australian equivalents, and will be based on undergraduate study, work experience, English language, and interview. All of the details we'll make public as we develop those. The cost, again, this is new, we're working through. It's going to be probably approximately about half of the tuition fee that it would be for the equivalent degree in Australia. But again, we will confirm that over the coming months. The aim is to start teaching in 2024. Now, Deakin has 3 start points a year, February, July, and late October, early November. We will definitely have this up and running for the July start point 2024. It may be possible to have it up and running for February, but that is quite a big ask given that we've got to get the facilities completed and all of the rest, and that is only little more than 10 months away now.
All right. And this is going to be postgraduate, right? If I understand correctly.
It is absolutely. This campus suits postgraduate offerings. It's heavily linked to the 200-odd businesses that exist in the Gift City. It's the kind of environment that suits postgraduate study well. And talking with the company partners there, it is the kind of area where postgraduate work well. So we're really going to focus on postgraduate in Gift City.
All right. And if I may ask you, Professor Martin, when did you decide that you want to open a campus in India? Because it's a historic step, even for Deakin University, as this is going to be your first as well. So
Yeah.
when did you actually decide that, okay, we are going to do this?
Okay. So Deakin's had a presence in India now for nearly 30 years. It'll be 30 years next year. And over that time, we've continually innovated and changed how we engage with India, starting with quite a conventional model of recruiting students to study in Australia, to moving to work with research partners, and then with the educational changes. Last year, we started 3 hub partnerships with universities here offering Deakin degrees delivered in partnership with Indian universities here. It became very clear last year that the rate of change in India was accelerating. And when I visited last September, we started conversations around what was the next stage of Deakin's innovation in working in partnership with India to do things. And we seriously started considering options then. And when it became possible to work with Gift City to do this, maybe October of last year, we started the work seriously. And the decision was made in principle to go ahead with the application in December of last year. So this is a very rapid series of changes made possible by government changes, but also I would have to say the speed of this has been made possible by an incredible relationship we've had with the regulator here, who's been extraordinarily supportive in terms of progressing what we want to do.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. That how has your experience been in getting the approvals and just dealing with the government and the regulators? What's your experience been?
Look, that was one of the questions I've been asked frequently, and it's been phrased, was it an old India experience or a new India experience? And it was undoubtedly a new India experience. I think because we've had such extensive experience in India, we've got a fantastic team based here. It gave us the advantage of being able to work very closely with the regulator as they were formulating the shape that they wanted to see. We were able to work in partnership with them. Once our application was submitted, we had a series of iterations, and literally it was 3 days from the first submission to getting approval, which is in any country would be quite unbelievably fast. So yeah, it was a good experience, but I do acknowledge that it was built off the back of a long-standing partnership with many people in India. So we weren't starting from scratch.
All right. And of course, there have been thousands of Indians who have studied at Deakin University.
Yes.
What has been your experience like with Indian students who have studied in Deakin?
Look, India has been part of Deakin's operation for, as I said, nearly 30 years now. We have a wonderful relationship with India. We have lots of students who come and study with us. Yep, a little bit of an interruption with COVID, but we think we'll be back to the sort of levels of engagement that we had pre-COVID later this year. The students are incredible. And I've had some wonderful experiences, but also they've brought a cultural and an Indian richness to our campuses in Australia. So just one little example, Geelong, where the university historically started, which is a small city about 70 kilometres outside of Melbourne. A number of years ago, our Indian students started a small Diwali celebration. We now have 2,000 to 3,000 people coming from the campus, coming from the local community onto the campus for a Diwali celebration. So it's become part of our university. And I continue to be so impressed with the quality and the confidence in the engagement of the students we had. Just a little example. I was at the airport in Delhi waiting to go to Ahmedabad for the launch on Wednesday. And at the request of our Prime Minister, we'd invited a few students who are studying with us in our partners to come along. And they came up and saw me at the airport gate and said, hello, it's fantastic, we're here. Really confident, fantastic. And I thought, that's amazing. Not many students would do that. And it was, I think, testament to the real confidence and study skills that those students have.
And the education sector has played a big part, I think, in Australia-India relation. I mean, this is a really important sector. How have you seen the Australia-India relationship change country to country, government to government in the last 20, 30 years, especially given the increase in people-to-people contact?
Look, I think there has been a remarkable change, particularly over the last 3 or 4 years. There's no two ways about it. I mean, there's been a moderate amount of people-to-people contact, but the government-to-government discussions, conversations, the ECTA, the Comprehensive Trade Agreement, has been there. But also, as you said, education's been a really important part of this. Prime Minister Modi has made it a key part of his plank in terms of the economic and social transformation of India. Australia's had that long-standing education relationship with India. Over the last few years, it's just got more and more open, the willingness to work together, the flow of expertise. We have Indian companies in Australia now at levels that we never would have had. We work closely with Infosys, Tata Consulting Service, all of whom have got strong links in Australia. It's just opening up across the board. And that's been remarkable. And I think that's been one of the themes of our Prime Minister's visit this week, is just the warmth of those relationships and the increasing depth of those relationships, not just in education, but in many other areas.
Yeah. And one final concluding question, Professor Martin, where do you see the Australia-India relationship going, and how optimistic are you about the bilateral ties between the two countries?
Look, I think it is going, there's nothing that says to me this is not going anywhere other than from strength to strength. Yes, we are separated by 10,000 odd kilometers, but every time I come, I'm struck by the conversations around the education needs of both countries in terms of technology, healthcare, many other areas. They're the same conversations. The conversations around research, innovation. We come back to sustainable agriculture, water use, clean energy, better transport systems. These are all areas where we've worked with Indian partners for a while. And I think there's so much to learn from each other. On many levels, we're very, very different. But fundamentally, those things that our societies want to achieve are the same. And I think we've got a great opportunity to continue to grow that. So I think the political warmth is wonderful. But what I'm seeing, which is even more encouraging, is the people-to-people warmth and connection, which is growing. And it's palpable. It is, each time I come back, and I come back, as you know, quite frequently to India, you feel that it's just getting more and more connected.
Professor Iain Martin, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you indeed for the chance to talk.